The next story we're going to talk about is probably the one most familiar, and it's David and Bathsheba. Another scandalous story.
Yeah. This one, at least people are prepared for.
I know. There's no euphemisms here. It's just scandalous.
So what happens?
What happens is it's springtime, the season of love, and the season of war.
Yeah.
Traditionally, in the ancient world, you go to battle in spring because it stinks to fight in the rain.
Yeah.
You have 6 months to actually go and fight because battles take a long time. Then you go home for the winter, and this is why wars last literally years and sometimes decades. It's because you only fight 6 months out of the year. Yeah. So,
Wait, time out,
okay.
time to break now, time to go home. We'll see you again, and...
I see a rain cloud.
Call off the war, we'll be back.
Rusty armor. Yes.
So it's the time of battle. David should be out.
He should be
leading
out.
the war.
But he's not. Instead, he's hanging out at the royal palace, and he sees this beautiful woman bathing, Bathsheba.
Nicely named, really.
I know. The best sermon title that I've ever heard is on this story called Bed Bath and Beyond. That was by Bob Marvel up at Cornwall Church in Bellingham, so I don't take credit for it, but I probably will use that title.
Bed Bath and Beyond.
Isn't that a great...
That's brilliant.
Yeah, he had great sermon titles. Okay, so Bathsheba is this beautiful woman, but she is married to Uriah, who is out in battle, doing what he's supposed to be doing, is serving David, and David arranges for Bathsheba to come to the palace. They have an affair. To cover up his affair, he has Uriah killed in battle in kind of a really heartbreaking way, where he has the commanders send Uriah out saying that everyone else is behind him, and no one else goes.
Yeah, send him out ahead, say, we're all behind you, and they pull back.
Yeah, and it's just, think of all the bonds of loyalty that have to be broken. Like, there's damage down the line on this one.
And, I mean, David calls Uriah back to sleep with Bathsheba to cover up, because they don't have DNA testing.
Right.
And Uriah says, no, if my men have to sleep on the hard, rocky ground, I will not go into the soft bed and sleep with my wife.
Right. And, I think Uriah's going to know something's up when he comes home after 6 months of battle, and his wife is 5 months pregnant. Math happens. And so David's really trying to cover up his mistake. So Uriah is killed, and I think he thinks that he has it kind of nicely wrapped up. Because let's face it, he's the king. Who's gonna question him? Who is gonna question him?
Not a judge. It's not a priest.
It's a prophet. So what we were talking about last time, this tension between prophets and kings. In 1 Samuel, it's between Samuel and Saul a lot of the time, but in 2 Samuel, it's between David and Nathan. Yes, and and Nathan comes up to David and basically says, "I know what you did, and because of this, your kingship is going to." I don't know how to say it better than it's not going to work out very well.
It's taken from you. The line, it stays in the line. Taken from him.
It's going to be fraught with problems.
Yeah.
David thought that he was going to be the one to build the temple. Not going to happen. But what's interesting is that Bathsheba was pregnant. She does become one of David's wives, and her son is Solomon.
The baby that she and David had first dies. But then the next baby
they have is Solomon, who is the youngest, I think, of David's sons.
Yes.
The person who should not inherit the throne, especially when he is kind of the product of what began as an illicit relationship.
Yeah.
And that's...
And there will be problems there.
There's going to be quite a few problems around the issue of succession, coming up in the latter half of 2 Samuel. But we're going to go into another story.
All right. Well, the decline and fall of David starts from that moment with Bathsheba. It's all downhill, sadly.
Yeah.
And the next major piece that it all plays out in David's family, which is again, I think another reason why we're drawn to David is that there's no other group that loves us, but that is also more painful for us. There's nobody you fight with like your family. and in David's family, it is it does not put the fun in dysfunction. It
puts the dis.
It puts the dis. The first thing that starts out, Amnon is David's oldest, and David has a daughter named Tamar, and Amnon conceives a terrible passion for his sister Amnon. Pretends to be sick, and he calls her into the room, and she doesn't want to go in, but she goes in, and he rapes her. And then he becomes disgusted with her and puts her out, which is a disgrace and a shame. And she says, "This is even worse than what you've done to disgrace me." Absalom finds out about what Amnon has done.
Absalom is another son.
Sorry, Absalom.
These are all brothers and sisters.
All brothers and sisters. That's right. Thank you.
A lot of them are half brothers and sisters, we should say.
But they're all.
But they're still
one happy family. Well, Absalom finds out. Everybody finds out. They go to David, and David is angry, but he won't lift a finger against his firstborn.
That whole firstborn is prized above all other children.
And how can David, after Bathsheba, how can he speak with authority on this? He can't, and so he doesn't say a thing. And so, if David's not going to punish Amnon, Absalom says, "That's fine, I'll do it." And Absalom goes months later and kills his brother Amnon. And then David, in a big show, forgives Absalom, and everything's okay. But everything's not okay with Absalom. And Absalom actually runs away. He goes to Hebron, which if you're a king, you don't want to hear that, because Hebron is where Hebrew kings are crowned. And Absalom has been texting, he's been tweeting all of his friends, and he says, at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be at Hebron, everyone's going to name me king. And they do, and everybody shouts up. And David actually has to flee from Jerusalem because Absalom absconds for the throne, and Israel goes after him. And so David's on the run again. David's used to that. He had been on the run before. But David's a much better warrior than Absalom. Absalom has no history or training really with this. And so David's army, with Joab, they end up hounding Absalom down. And David says, "Be careful with my son. Don't hurt my son."
Yeah.
But Absalom's riding on a donkey, and there's an oak tree, and he gets his neck, and he gets his head caught right between the branches. And the text literally says he's hanging between heaven and earth. It's a beautiful, tragic phrase. And the donkey keeps going out from under him, and he doesn't. And he's just hanging there. He probably dies at that point, but then Joab, none of his men will touch Absalom, but Joab goes and just cuts him up and buries him in the forest and tells David his son is dead. And the most heartbreaking words maybe from David, "Absalom, oh Absalom, my son, my son." He says, "I wish it happened to me."
Yeah.
And so much has come from Faulkner, writes a book, Absalom, oh Absalom.
It's a good day, and I think this is a good way to end it.
All right.
Okay.
We'll see you with 1 Kings.